Live from the Student Union on campus, this is Gold Mine Live. Your weekly all-access pass inside Charlotte Athletics is brought to you by Ortho Carolina, proud to present the 2017 Charlotte 49ers football season. Bojangles, it's bow time. Your Carolina Ford dealers. Go to yourfordchoice.com and enter the Adventure Ready giveaway to win a 2017 Escape or Fusion from your Carolina Ford dealers. Harris Teeter, where 49ers fans shop for groceries. University Eye Associates. And by Wells Fargo. Charlotte 49er fans, show your pride with a customized Wells Fargo debit card. Stop by your nearest Wells Fargo or visit Wells Fargo Card Design Studio online to learn more. Now, here's your host, the voice of the 49ers, Matt Swerad.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Gold Mine Live as we talk Niner basketball for the next 60 minutes with Head Coach Houston Fancher and Jobey Thomas. I'm Matt Swerad. Thanks for joining us this week. And the Niners are back on the road this week going down to South Florida. Should be nice warm weather with the snow coming up here to the Carolinas, I think, on Wednesday. Should be nice in Boca Raton and then down in Miami, Coach. And it's a big week. Good to see you this Monday morning. Hope you're doing well.
Doing great. We've already had a good practice this morning and got a lot of stuff accomplished this morning. Went back and reviewed our games from the past week and came in today and worked on some things in preparation for Florida Atlantic, Florida International this week.
Now, you had a tough week last week in terms of the opponents you played, two of the top teams in Conference USA, and Marshall and Western Kentucky over this past Saturday. Your thoughts on how you guys really competed hard. You didn't make enough shots, but against Western Kentucky, the team you played over the weekend, one of the best scoring teams in the league, and you defensively played very well.
Yeah, I thought defensively we made some huge strides, but we just got to get to where our offense is a little bit more fluid. Now, when you go back and look at it, we had some shots that, guys normally make, the guys taking those shots normally make. We had some open opportunities that we just didn't take advantage of. And, from an offensive standpoint, we just got to, we got to figure out a way to continue to be more efficient. And that's what we're working on. We want to stay in attack mode, and we've talked many times about taking we shots and not me shots. And for the most part, against Western Kentucky, we did that. Now we took some tougher ones against Marshall, I thought, and from time to time there's going to be some contested shots and that are part of the game, and we're going to make some of those. And good players make contested shots at times, but we just got to overall make sure that our offense is working at a more efficient level than what it is right now in terms of percentages. We got to shoot the ball better. We got to the free throw line 22 times Saturday and hit 21 of those, so we made an improvement from Thursday to Saturday there. But in terms of field goal percentage, that's where we got to get more efficient.
You look at the Marshall game, and it was a 2-point game at halftime, and you didn't shoot the ball, didn't particularly play a great first half against the Herd. You're down just 2 at halftime. Did you feel good at that point?
Well, we felt good, going into the game knowing what we were up against as far as their scoring was concerned, because they scored a real high clip, and the two teams we played are the two high scoring teams in the league in Marshall and Western Kentucky. So we knew that ultimately they were going to make runs. We had to score along with them. And that's something we didn't do in the second half as well. We guarded better in the first half, but the field goal percentage defense jumped up almost 20 points from the first half to the second half. And in times when you're doing a good job defensively, that's when you got to make your hay offensively. And we certainly didn't do that in the first half the other night against Marshall. In the second half, we let down some. And as they made a run, we didn't answer their run. And they're a team of runs. C.J. Burks, I thought, played really well for them. He had 32 in the game, and we did a pretty good job on Elmore for the most part. He's very, very talented, but we didn't get our inside game established like we needed to and get touches and finishes down there, and they just weren't consistent enough. John had an unbelievable effort against Marshall, scoring 38, but we didn't have enough. He didn't have enough support in terms of taking the pressure off of him and giving him an opportunity to rest some off the ball. He had to take some tough ones. Now he finished a lot of tough ones, and like I say, set a halting record with 38 points in there the other night, which is a superhuman effort, but we got to get more support, across the board.
Coach, another key to the first half of that Marshall game, you guys had 12 turnovers, which really, many of them unforced, kind of got you guys behind the 8 ball a little bit. Second half did a much better job, just 6 turnovers. And then looking to the Western game, something you guys were able to clean up, and just 13 overall turnovers. Just talk about the importance, not only the offensive efficiency, but protecting the basketball.
I heard somebody say the other night when they were playing their game, they said you got to enjoy the ball. Enjoy the ball. Take care of the ball. Make sure you do the right things with the ball and handle it correctly. And we went back and charted that, and in the Marshall game, out of our 18 turnovers, 2 were forced. 16 of them were either walks, illegal screens, bad decisions with the ball. They weren't forced turnovers, and you can't have those type things when you're end up being in close games. Like you said, you miss 9 free throws, you turn the ball over 18 times, and you only lose by 8 to who's presumably the best scoring team in the league. So you're right there. You can almost taste it. You're that close, and if you just make a couple of those plays, and some of them coming out in the first half where they were just – they're just plays where people are trying to make plays to win. They're trying to make a drive that's not there, trying to make a pass that's not there, but they're trying to make those plays that are benefit them in terms of trying to get us a win, trying to get us a bucket, but ultimately end up in turnovers, and there's empty possessions. And if you can't have empty possessions when you're in a game that ends up being that close.
Turned your mic off. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Evidently, you're bored what I didn't have bored what I'd say. Yeah.
I'm not used to having the third mic. I'm usually over there on the other side. Rebounding against Marshall too.
Yeah, rebounding.
Did a good job.
Yeah, I thought we did. We competed in both games on the glass, and Jalen Haslam's really raised his level on the glass for us and had double figures in rebounding both times. He set his personal records in both games, first the Marshall game and then the Western Kentucky game. So he's really established himself on the defensive end. We got to get him more involved on the offensive end. He's not getting enough shots around him. He had 3 shots the last game, I think 5 the game before, and he's shooting at a high clip. We got to be able to get him shots around the rim where he can finish plays and put some of those other big guys in foul trouble. So we got to make sure we continue to do that with him, and Milos and Najee both have all got to get touches down there as well. And we've got Bryant sprinkle in some minutes, in the last couple of games. Got to continue to get him experience, to get him some playing time out there, because these guys are going to be important for us as we go down the stretch.
And we talked about Jalen Haslam after the Western Kentucky game and just his growth and development. And one of the keys has been you've been able to keep him on the floor longer as well. 27 minutes against Marshall. I think up until that point probably the most he'd played all season, and then 32 against Western Kentucky. So the importance of having him on the floor has got to be big for you guys.
It is, and we've really spent a lot of time with him away from practice, just talking about being vertical, making sure he plays big and keeping his feet active and not defending so much with his arms and his hands, moving with his feet, keeping his big body in front of people and making people score over him. And when he gets in foul troubles, when people tend to get around him, where they get an angle on him or a guard beats somebody with a drive and he ends up fouling their guy, and that's why he got him in trouble at North Texas. He's fouling everybody else's guy and not his guy. And a lot of that goes back to us getting beat off the drive. So our guards have to do a good job on the perimeter, not letting them get that deep, so that he doesn't have to get in. He can contest shots and be big, but he's got to do it without fouling. And like you say, to be on the floor 32 minutes the other night, I thought was fantastic for him. And it was good to see him get that type of run. He really ran the floor hard, too. He played extremely hard, really competed. It wasn't like he was pacing himself out there. He played a hard 32 minutes, so I was really proud of his effort. For the most part, he's ended up having to battle two of the best rebounders in Conference USA and Colby and Johnson out there, and I thought he did a really good job of that.
You alluded to John Davis's Halton Arena scoring record of 38 points as well against the Marshall Thundering Herd. John's going to be our guest coming up a little bit later on the show today. The old record was, by the way, 36 points by Lemar Goldwire. That was January 16th of 2008. He did it against St. Joe's. So the record had been in the books there for a while, and we know John is very capable of a night like that, any kind of game he plays. But it was good to see him have that kind of night.
Well, I think we figured it out, man. We finally got him some glasses. I think we finally got it figured out. He couldn't see. That's why he hadn't been making shots the first 15 or so games. And now he's got contacts and glasses, so problem solved. He's back now. He can actually see the rim. It just took us 15 games to figure that out, but no, he was terrific in the game the other day, and he's defended much better, which is encouraging for most of us. And that's we always accused him of being John Avis because there's never no D in there, but now he's actually back to John Davis again because he actually played some defense, and that's something we're encouraged by, having to guard some good point guards. And guarding Elmore and then turn around guarding Darius Thompson, who's another terrific point guard the other night. Thought he did a good job against both of them. And it's, when you end up having to guard, Darius Thompson was a player of the week in the conference last week, and end up having to, lead your team as a scorer and then go out and guard the player of the week in the conference is a pretty big challenge. But we think he's up to it, and we know he's going to continue to play. He's our guy. We know that he's what makes us go, and we got to get other players. He's got to get other people involved. The job of the point guard is to raise the level of everyone around him. So he knows that's a challenge for him too. Now is not just getting himself going, but to get everybody around him going too. In
the past seasons when he's had success, a lot of that too, getting to the foul line, and he did that against Marshall, 11 of 15 free throws made, but even better against Western Kentucky as he knocked down 11 of 12.
Well, that's what scorers do. Scorers find their way to the free throw line. All the best scorers shoot free throws. John Elmore, I say, as far as one of the leading scorers in the league, averages 11 free throws a night. So that's what John has done here the last couple of games. He's driven the ball hard. The guys aren't going to block every shot. They might get 2 or 3 blocks. They keep on driving it at their chin. Andrew drove the ball hard. Austin drove the ball hard. John drove the ball hard. We had guys really going hard at the rim, to force them to blow the whistle. And it was a physical game the other night. Going back and watching it, a couple of times, it was a very physical game, and they passed on a lot of calls, but still sent us to the free throw, like you said, 22 times. And Andrew went 8 for 8. John went 11 for 12. And Austin made 2 for 2. So those 3 guys, they almost shot free throws, but they did finish them. And I think that's a sign of growth. That's a sign of toughness, and that's something we can build on.
Well, I said John Davis is here. He's our guest this week, so we'll take a timeout right now. Goldmine Live, come back, and we'll talk with the Niners junior point guard from Upper Marlboro, Maryland, John Davis, coming up next. This is Goldmine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
How do you become America's best-selling truck?
Come on, Briggs. Wait for your pitch, kiddo.
You give it best-in-class towing, payload, and with built-in Wi-Fi,
Yes!
the best seats in the house.
That's how it's done.
Just like his grandpa.
Even better.
That's Ford, America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Now get a 2018 F-150 with up to $10,459 in total savings, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
I'll go back to Goldmine Live with Jobey Thomas. I'm Matt Swarad, giving head coach Houston Fancher a couple of segments off as we bring in the Niner junior point guard John Davis, coming off a fantastic week individually with an arena record 38 against Marshall, 26 against Western Kentucky over this past weekend. John, good to see you on this Monday. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
It's halfway through now, your junior season. We always talk about this when guys get here as a freshman. You blink your eye, and before you know it, it's nearing the end. And you guys right now, for yourself, middle of conference play, what's it been like now, year 3?
First of all, I'm blessed to be here in this position. Like you said, it did go by fast. It seems like just yesterday I was playing my first game at Halton. But, it's been going. We've been losing a couple of games, but at the end of the day, we have been playing hard. I can honestly say it's probably the toughest team that I've been on since I've been in college. So, we've gone through a tough stretch with the coaching change and all that kind of stuff. But our season isn't lost. We're going through the tougher part of our conference schedule right now, and we're taking our lumps. We played Western Kentucky, we played ODU, we played Marshall, and then after we play these 2 Florida teams, we play Old Dominion again, Middle Tennessee and UAB back-to-back. So this is a tough stretch for us, but it's all it's going to do is help us build as a team.
I know the losing's hard. You want to win. We all understand that part. But watching you guys, especially the last couple of weeks, there's a unique bond, I think, with this team over the past couple of years. You guys certainly have gotten along. But tell me, this one's a little bit different? You guys seem pretty close.
Yeah, like I said, this is the toughest team that I've been on from top to bottom. we have a bunch of tough guys we go out there and play for one another. We're not out there playing for ourselves. And, that's a unique thing to have with a team of 13 or 14 guys. So, it helps us. It's going to help us in the long run.
I got to ask you, because I was joking with you about a week ago when I saw you wearing glasses. I hadn't noticed you wearing them before, and I just got mine about 2 months ago. What a difference it's made. You said you never had an eye doctor appointment before, didn't know you had an issue with reading or just seeing. What's it been like now? You got the glasses and contacts in today?
Like I said, when I went to the eye doctor over Christmas break, and that was the first time I had been in 21 years. So I could see. I'm not completely blind without my glasses, but a lot of things it started to get blurry over time. And I said something to my mom about it, so she took me to get my eyes checked. And things were just way clearer after I got my eyes checked.
It's amazing how quick it can change like that. And you're not making any excuses, but you feel like that has helped you at all?
No, I wouldn't make no excuse and say that was my problem over the first 15 games, because a lot of things that I was doing had nothing to do with eyes. But it has made a difference, because even when I first got the glasses, I didn't even wear contacts. The first game I actually wore contacts was against Marshall. as ironic as it is, that happened to be one of my best games in college. So, I mean, the glasses have helped a lot, but that wasn't necessarily my problem with the first 15 games.
JD, coming in this year, you had high expectations, and even externally, there's a lot of chatter, and you had a big summer and so forth. And I know as a player, sometimes we can be hardest on ourselves and put more pressure on ourselves, and really sometimes just press and try to do things maybe, in a right way that end up hurting us or our play in some way. But just talk about the importance of just having these last two big games in Halton and the mental side of the game for you after playing, admittedly not as well as you could play for the first part of the season, but showing again that, the John Davis that we all know and are accustomed to seeing, that's still well within your realm to do each and every night you step on the floor.
Oh, yeah, like you said before, confidence is everything with basketball players, and a lot of times we're harder on ourselves than anybody else, and that's when your confidence is dead. And with basketball, or anything you do, honestly, if you don't have confidence in yourself, then one, nobody else will believe in you, and two, you're not going to perform at the level that you can. So at the end of the day, I think I said it after the Marshall game when I talked in the press conference, nobody had really lost confidence in me, but I was just really putting the weight of the world on my shoulders myself. It was more so a self thing than anybody else putting pressure on me. So, like I said, I talked to the people that were important to me, my coaches, my dad, and a couple people from back home. And then, I just put it to action, just took all that weight off my shoulders, because it had got to a point where I didn't even realize we had only played 12 games and we had like 18 games left. I thought we were like 20 games in. And I was like, dang, we really still got 20 games left. Like, this season isn't lost. Like, my life isn't over because I played bad for a small portion of a season. So, once I got past that, I just got in the gym. I changed up my little shooting routine a little bit, and then once we played against Marshall, the work just showed, the confidence was there, and then it like I said, all it takes is a little bit of confidence. I had that confidence going into Western Kentucky, and it just pulled over.
Yeah, I think people don't understand, who maybe haven't played at this level, just how important the mental side of the game is. You play this game most of your life, all your life. You've trained your body to perform, but, certain things can kind of creep in, and you can begin to have that self-doubt and so forth. Are there any things on the mental side? Obviously, you've put in the work physically and just let that translate on the floor and help your performance. But, are there any things kind of mentally that you do to kind of help prepare yourself and to get your mindset right before you step on the floor?
Yeah, like I said, my circle is pretty tight as far as basketball goes. I don't really trust a lot of people, but one of the guys that I actually do talk to from back home, he told me that what I should do is something that he does with his everyday life. He's older now, but he has goals that he wants to accomplish every day, and what he does is when he wakes up, he reads this list of goals. When he right before he's about to try to do something, in the middle of the day, he'll read the goals, and before he goes to bed, he reads the goals, and he just does it every day, and he introduced that idea to me. So I have two separate lists of goals that I want to accomplish, and 3 ways of how I can accomplish those goals. I read them when I wake up, I read them before practices and before games, and then I read them again before I go to sleep, and I just text him read every time I do it. So 3 times a day. I've been doing that for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now.
You had a really good summer. Got to play against some tremendous competition in some summer camps. What did you take out of that? How did you feel like you grew as a player? Maybe not just on the floor, but what you learned mentally about the game.
As far as just learning from those other players, because I was at those camps, I was probably the only player that came from a mid-major school. So a lot of those guys were from ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, Pac-12. These guys are playing each other in the tournament every year. They're playing each other in nationwide ESPN games all the time. They're having all these conversations and stuff. And the biggest thing that I took from that is just one, they're not any different than we are on this level. They're just on a different platform. I couldn't say that anybody that's in the ACC, the best player in the ACC he's better. He might be better than the best player in the Conference USA, but at the end of the day, we're all basketball players, and we all have to perform when we're out there. So I just went in with the mindset that these guys are all basketball players just like me. Who's to say that they're better than me just because they go to a Duke or Carolina or a Kentucky, UCLA? So, that's just the mindset I went in with. But, yeah, at the camps, there were a lot of, NBA players, older NBA players, guys that had just gotten drafted all there, and they were just giving out knowledge the whole time. I was just trying to take everything in, just being a sponge from all different angles.
Now, you've said you want to be the best player you can be here at Charlotte. What do you feel like you still need to do to become what you want to be?
Win. I feel like my first 2.5 years so far, the only thing that I haven't really done, from my freshman year to my sophomore year, I made a big jump personally, but the wins, they just haven't been there. The same thing this year. I haven't played fairly well the first 15 games of the season, but I would feel a lot better about that if we were winning. So with me being the player that I am, that's I'm taking a lot of weight on my shoulders, because I feel like a lot of games, if I produced at the level that I could have produced, we would have won. So, at this point, I'm just trying to win. I think that'll help solidify my legacy at Charlotte if we start winning games and get to the tournament.
You look at this team, and there's some young aspects to it, but some guys that feel like there's a bright future for them. What do you like about some of the young guys and how they're contributing?
The young guys, they're great. They're learners. They ask questions all the time. They ask me, they ask Andrea, Najee, Austin. They always come to the older guys and ask us questions about just just basketball stuff and also social stuff. But with that, they're coachable. Like Coach Fancher can get on them, Coach Gray can get on them, and they don't sit there and pout. They don't drop their heads and nothing like that. They just take it for what it is. They take what they need from it, and they just go on and play. And even with that, sometimes they don't play the minutes. Like, I think some games Jalen McGill plays 5 minutes a game, but then there's a game against South Florida where I think he played 20, 25 minutes a game. He had 12 points, and they were a big 12 points. Same thing with Ryan Murphy, same thing with Milos, and same thing with Luka, and same thing with Brian Thomas. Those guys are they're always ready, and I think they're going to help us in this last little stretch of games.
You mentioned how there's still so much of the season left. You go on the road this week. Do you guys just kind of look at it one game at a time? Is the next opponent, which is Florida Atlantic, and nothing past that?
Oh, yeah, that's the way you have to look at it. That's the way I tell the guys to look at it. Don't worry about what's happened in the past, and don't worry about what's happening in the future. Just take it one game at a time. All we can worry about is the day. We have to win the day. At the end of the day, if we win the day, then you'll look up 2 months from now and you'll figure, we're what are we now? 1-4 in conference. If we take just every game by game, we can end up at the end of the season 14-4. We have 18 games in the conference play. You never know. 13-5, 14-4, 12-6. Nobody will remember that we started off 1-4. And you can't just dwell on the past. You have to just look forward to the future.
Yeah, well said. Well, you guys certainly are playing hard, and you mentioned you want to win games, but you got to as an upperclassman on this team, the way the guys have responded. They've come out, they're putting the work in, and having really good practices, and there is that closeness when you guys get together. That bond and that goal of winning is very attainable.
Yeah, like Coach Fancher said, this is a very like I've said and Coach Fancher said, we have a very tough team, and it's crazy to say, but over the first 2 years, we've been able to outscore. We can win games just off outscoring people, and toughness and defense and rebounding were our issues. Well, not really an issue my freshman year because we had Big Joe, but toughness and defense were really our issues the first 2 years. But this year, we're defending well. We're a tough team. We're not getting killed on the glass. We're defending people. We're diving on the floor. We're not getting out tough. We have effort all over the place. We're an energized team. It's just, like Coach Fancher said, we have a lot of opportunities to hit shots that we normally make that we're not making. And that's just coming from everybody. That's me, Andrea, Austin, Ryan, Jalen, Najee. That's just from all angles. We're just not making shots that we're normally accustomed to making.
Well, John, I really appreciate you taking some time on this Monday afternoon. Thanks so much. Congratulations on the arena record.
Appreciate it.
And, you look down the road at that a little bit later on, thinking there's some great guys that have played in this building, and right now you're sitting at the top with 38 points, so that's something special. And good luck this week.
All right, thank you.
John Davis, our guest, back with more. We're going to take a timeout right now. Andre Gray, assistant coach, going to join us next on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
How do you become America's best-selling truck?
Come on, Briggs. Wait for your pitch, kiddo.
You give it best-in-class towing, payload, and with built-in Wi-Fi,
yes!
The best seats in the house.
That's how it's done.
Just like his grandpa.
Even better.
That's Ford, America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Now get a 2018 F-150 with up to $10,459 in total savings, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar. Reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party. Relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
The Student Athlete of the Week, sponsored by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers. This week's Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week is Ty Martin. Martin is a junior on the women's tennis team from Weston, Florida. She was voted second team all-conference in singles last season, winning 15 matches for the 49ers. She also led the team with 15 doubles wins. This fall, she was the only Niner to compete at Duke University's Bonk Invite and took second at the Kitty Harrison Invitational. Away from the court, she is a double major in political science and English and excels in the classroom and in the community, earning a spot on the CUSA Honor Roll and a CUSA Spirit of Service Award last season. Ty Martin, the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week. This has been the Ortho Carolina Student Athlete of the Week, brought to you by Ortho Carolina, the official team physician of your Charlotte 49ers.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live. I want to thank John Davis for stopping by and spending some time with us today on this Monday. Hope you're enjoying your holiday and have a great week this week. Now our guest is Andre Gray, assistant coach with the 49ers, who played at Methodist. That was our first game of the season, getting to play his alma mater. And, Coach, you've been in the Carolinas, forever as an assistant coach and know this area very well. Your thoughts so far and how things have gone since conference play started?
Like you said, I've been in the Carolinas forever. Playing Methodist is always cool for me. The head coach down there was my assistant coach when I played, and he gave me my first college job. And we always tell stories about I was like a hard player to coach. I was kind of wild, and me and him used to get into it all the time. So it was surprising when he gave me a job. But he gave me a blessing to get into college coaching, and it's been a fun ride since. As far as play since conference play, I think people are seeing that the league is a lot better than it's been in previous years, not only talent-wise, but the way our league did in the non-conference schedule. I think our RPI is like 11th, 12th right now. The last couple of years have been in the 20s. So the league is really, really good, and we still got 2 or 3 of the better teams coming into our home the next couple of weeks. So.
You mentioned you as a player at Methodist, and has that helped you as an assistant coach, though, relate and working with guys, knowing that your coach had to find a way to get in touch and get through to you, being a little more of a tough guy to play for?
Yeah, I think for me it helps me because as a player I never really was caught up in stats and stuff. I just wanted to be out there. So whatever the coach asked me to do is what I tried to do. So if I had to run plays to get on the court, that's what I'm doing. I had to screen. So it helps me kind of relate more to the role players, to try to get into the role players. Like, hey, you can help this team by doing more than scoring. So that's the thing I try to instill. And because it's the scorers and the go-to guys, those guys kind of come natural. I always say, hey, you can't teach. Like, I was never going to be a scorer. I could stay in the gym 12, 13 hours a day, and I never was going to be a 30-point-a-game guy. I wasn't wired that way. And that's the one thing you try to help those other guys, that the other pieces, to understand that they're important too.
Coach, you are a tireless and a fearless recruiter, and work really hard and had a lot of success. How has that translated from your playing days, and were you the same type of player on the floor? Was that kind of your bread and butter, is just how hard you played and worked on the floor?
Yes, sir. This is my life. People always say you can't make your career your life, but I made the mistake of making it my life. This is all I do. So when I don't have any hobbies, when I'm at the house, I'm watching film, I'm watching YouTube, I'm on Twitter, I'm talking to kids. This is what I do all day. And one thing I try to do when I'm talking to those kids and recruiting them is I'm going to talk to them the way I want somebody to talk to me. I don't have any children, so I try to develop relationships with these players like they would be my kids. So I'm not going to intentionally pit somebody's child in a bad position. So I try to get to know them as much as I can and try to match them up with the coach and the school, and all that stuff is real important. It's not always about talent, but can the kid survive at that university? Will that kid get along with the head coach? And those things I think play a bigger part than the actual talent.
Yeah, so often we see kids who come to one school and maybe were highly rated or recruited and have very little success, and they leave and go to a different system, different head coach, different assistants, and then have a lot of success. So I know experientially it's not always, the necessary the school or the talent level. So many other factors kind of behind the scenes that can affect the play of an individual.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, the relationship, I think, is the huge part. I think I grew up in ACC country. I grew up in Bladen County. Everybody at home was an NC State fan. And if you had told me my sophomore, junior year in high school I was going to NC State, I probably would have cursed you out and beat you up or something. But that's the way the mindset is here in the state, and we got to battle that all the time in recruiting this region. And the one thing you try to tell all of them, just go where you're going to be comfortable. At the end of the day, just go where you can put yourself in the rafters. Go where you can win some championships, because that's stuff you're going to remember. I couldn't tell you how many points I scored in college, and I know we had some really good teams. And at the end of the day, when the parents, you got to sell that to the parents and the coaches that you want those guys to have a good experience.
You really seem like you love, being out there recruiting. Has that always been that way for you? Is it something that you had to learn, or has it just been something that came natural?
Actually, one of my early mentors told me when I decided I wanted to get into college that you got to find a niche. You got to find a niche, find something that you're really, really good at, something that you could do that nobody else can, and you're always going to be able to have a job. So early on when I was at Methodist, the rules at that level was a little bit different. We didn't have restrictions on when we could be out, where we could go, and things of that nature. So I made it my business. I said, I'm going to learn every kid in this region. I started off with the state of North Carolina, and I watched every kid, whether they're supposed to be in high major, Division II, Division III, whatever. I watched them all. And then what happened was I was out so much that the other college level guys started noticing me out, and they started asking me about, hey, have you seen this kid? Have you seen that kid? Next thing you know, I'm like a scouting service. Everybody called me, asked me about guys, and some of the guys I said could play at certain levels wound up doing really well. So people started trusting me and calling me more. And then next thing you know, guys started calling me about jobs and added me to their staff. So
it's a very unique fraternity, assistant coaches, and you and I got a chance to talk a little bit lately. And I think a lot of folks don't realize that even though you may be working for Charlotte, you're friends with everyone, I just said, out there. And if someone can help you, great. If you can help someone else, great. But you stay in contact with just about everybody.
Yes, sir. And that's one of the beauties of the sport, really. The one thing I really like about it is the networking piece, and you get to talk to these guys. And some of these guys you know for 15, 20 years now. You go to the same gyms, and like you said, we do help each other, even within the league. One of my best friends up in Middle Tennessee State right now, he may see a kid that we need or used to for us that they don't need. So we kind of share notes. And Dre, here go this kid's mom, name her number, and we always share within those coaches.
Have you noticed how the game has maybe changed going into that living room to recruit a kid that it's a little different now than it probably was 10, 15 years ago?
Yeah, with the restrictions on how much we could be out is probably the biggest adjustment I had to make. Before, I think you spent more time with the kids themselves and the parents and the close circle. The circles have gotten a lot larger. You spend as much time with the circle as you do with the kid nowadays. It's probably another one of the big adjustments. The workout guys just started popping up the last few years because kids used to work out with their assistant coaches at the high school, so it was more of a one-stop shop now. But kids will leave their high school practice now and go work out with somebody else afterwards. So you got to learn those guys. And every kid, the only thing that haven't changed is every child has a decision maker. Back in the day, usually it was the dad or the uncle or the high school coach, but now the decision maker has changed. Sometimes the AAU guy, the workout guy, and the key is just finding out and building a relationship with that person.
Talk about how technology, social media has just changed the landscape of recruiting as well.
Yeah, and that's something from the level standpoint for me that where it happened. When I was at Division II, Division III schools, even when I was at some of the smaller schools, you was able to sneak a kid, or you could find a kid down in the country somewhere else, some small town that was a really good player but didn't have exposure because of where he played. Nowadays with social media, with Twitter and everything, it's hard to get missed. So like I said, I had guys at Division II, the all-time leading scorer at one of the conferences I coached at, who nowadays no way he'd go Division II. He's probably a mid-major player now because his stuff would have got out there and somebody would have scooped him up.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I think sometimes, you hear – the parents that the kids are playing 24/7, 365 days a year instead of doing other things, getting exposure to other sports. I always thought, especially now, the way things are, if you're good enough, somebody's going to find you.
Yeah,
Is that not true?
Yes, sir. No question. There's so many scouts. There's so much money in it. There's so much money involved in it. So people are searching out, just like us coaches are searching out talent. Those camp organizers are searching out talent. They want to be the guy who finds the next guy too. So they get in the gym early, watching the kids in middle school and ninth grade and JV teams. Like you go to a game, I go to a high school game early sometimes, and JV game going on, and you see 2 or 3 AAU guys in the gym, a couple of scouting service guys in the gym. Everybody's looking for that next talent because they want to be the guy who said they discovered this guy. So
I also have a theory. All right, so while that helps exposure for kids, I also feel like we live in the day of 160 characters of 10 seconds to fame, short-lived. Do one thing, put it on social media. And so how have you seen maybe kids who aren't as good as they really think they are, but has been hyped up and maybe blown up due to social media, who maybe don't quite deserve the credit? LeVar Ball and his whole crew, i.e., for example.
Yeah, that's actually the tricky thing when going out evaluating these guys. You can't if you want your job, you can't base signing the kid or bring the kid into your program based on what you see on the internet. You have to go watch them practice. You got to go watch them play games. But there are some coaches, fortunately and unfortunately, who take kids based on seeing the highlight tape. The one thing I've never seen to this day is a kid miss a shot in the highlight tape. So if you take a kid based on that,
if he did, you might watch that tape a couple times, wouldn't you?
That's right. This kid, he keeps it real. Like, this guy keep it real. I like him. But it has become a problem that way as well. But you just got to do your work. Try to identify guys as early as you can, and if you do that, you'll be okay.
So do you guys get now as coaching staff, I would randomly get some people, maybe family friends whose kid, they think is pretty good. Oh, I know you know a few people. Can I send you the highlight tape? Do you get highlight tape sent to you guys?
Oh, my phone probably beeping right now. You get them all the time. You get them a lot. And one thing, because sometimes guys get missed, early on. Now, eventually they're going to find you, but sometimes some pretty talented kids that are not being seen. So I try to watch everyone I get. I try to reply to every text I get, every email I get. And even if I can't use the kid, we talked about a network earlier, like it might be a guy I don't need necessarily, but my friend down at Mount Olive or my friend at USC Pembroke or somewhere like that could use the kid, so I'll pass the information along. And because I've been around so long, people trust my evaluations. I get a lot of tapes to evaluate. People will send me, hey, Dre, whatever you think this kid is. And I'll tell them honestly, people know that I'm pretty straightforward with that stuff, so I'll say live out there, you can play. So
we should flash your email and phone number right here. Anybody has a kid, they won't get exposed, Andre Gray's your guy.
If not here, someplace else. Right? Hey, I could talk for another 20, 30 minutes with you about this. It's fascinating, but you got to take a break. We'll bring you back out sometime before the season's over. Keep talking about this and some of the guys we have signed. But Andre, thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
And thank you. Thank you for having me.
Andre Gray's been our guest. Back with Coach Fancher in a moment. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
How do you become America's best-selling truck?
Come on, Briggs. Wait for your pitch, kiddo.
You give it best-in-class towing, payload, and with built-in Wi-Fi,
Yes!
the best seats in the house.
That's how it's done.
Just like his grandpa.
Even better.
That's Ford, America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Now get a 2018 F-150 with up to $10,459 in total savings, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live, back with Houston Fancher, Niners head basketball coach. And I want to thank Andre Gray for taking some time out on his busy Monday. You guys had practice already this morning, but knowing Andre's going to go back and watch film, but he's going to watch a game today, a tournament today. You've been together with him for a while now. He does a nice job.
He does. When we keep him awake, he's pretty good when he's awake. But no, he's fantastic. And we worked together at Wilmington as well. We were down there with Buzz Peterson at Wilmington for a season together. And once Mark was trying to find somebody that could help us recruit in the state of North Carolina, I mentioned Andre to him, and Buzz did as well. And he's got a terrific reputation. Between he and I, there's not too many schools we hadn't covered here in North Carolina from a collegiate standpoint. So he's a valuable asset to us and responsible for a lot of the guys on our roster now, and does a terrific job on the floor. He's underrated as a coach as well. So excited about he and what he does on the floor and off the floor.
Didn't get a chance when he was here to touch on some of the guys you have signed. You can talk about the guys that have already committed and signed to the program for future seasons. So tell us about some of these guys.
We have signed 3 guys in the early period, and we're excited about all 3 of them. Cooper Robb is a point guard out of Scott County, Kentucky, who's a 3-sport athlete. He's a football, baseball, basketball player, and is a very, very good player in all 3. The thing we're excited about is once it becomes basketball exclusive, we think he's going to be really, really good. And he's tough. He's got a strong body. He's got a great basketball IQ. He can score. He's a starting point guard on the #1 team in the state of Kentucky right now, and plays with a talented team. But he's sort of the guy that makes him go. He defends well. He passes the ball very well. He can shoot the ball well from the perimeter. Played this summer on a Tennessee Bobcat AAU team who's very talented, had a lot of success this summer. So we're excited about getting Cooper in here as a point guard. Isaiah Bigelow at E. Smith High School down in Greensboro is a 6'6" guard with good length. He's averaging a double-double right now, 23 and 12. Down at Smith, and they're one of the better teams in the state as well. He shoots the ball with great range. I mean, he's got terrific range on his shot. He's a terrific three-point shooter that can really stretch the floor. He can go inside out with it, but he blocks shots, he rebounds. He does things all around the floor offensively. So we're excited about what he can become too, and he's a guy we're certainly excited about getting from the Greensboro area. And then Drayvon Mangum, 6'7", sort of a small hybrid forward type guy who can do a lot of stuff. He's really, really athletic. He's long. He's from Person County and plays on another good team down there who's lost, I think, 1 game so far this season. He's a guy that can stretch the floor as well, but he's really athletic, and he's got, like they always say, he's got the length of a condor. He's got really long arms. Just the wingspan is incredible. So he can contest shots, but he can get out and run the floor like nobody's business. So between those 3 guys, we're really excited about the people we signed in the early period. We'll bring a couple more in here in the spring that we're working on now, and continue to recruit to fill a void. But those 3 guys, we're very comfortable and very excited about having in the program.
Coach, where you talked about filling the void, where do you see as a void in some areas that you're focusing on in recruiting?
Well, I think for us right now we're just looking at the best players, because Austin's the only senior that we have, and if we continue to grow these guys, eventually, you'll have Andrew and you have Austin. You have Andrew and you have John and Jalen Haslam in that next senior class. So I think guys that can fill those voids. We'll probably need to bring in another point guard and another scorer, a guy who can get his own shot off the bounce a little bit, and then we'll need to beef up some inside as well as we continue to grow Bryant, grow Milos, and Najee continues to grow, and then Drayvon can slide down and play some 4 for us too. But we'll be probably looking to bring somebody else to help us in the paint as well. So it's fluid, as you know. Recruiting. You never know until you get to the door exactly what you need. I think we're finding out, areas we could improve in, but we're right now our focus is on just getting the best player we can in the class.
Take a break. Still a couple of breaks to get in, so we'll take one right now, come back and talk about some of the opponents coming up this week, going down to Florida Atlantic on Thursday, and then FIU down in Miami for a game on Saturday night. This is Gold Mine Live on the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
How do you become America's best-selling truck?
Come on, Briggs. Wait for your pitch, kiddo.
You give it best-in-class towing, payload, and with built-in Wi-Fi,
yes!
The best seats in the house.
That's how it's done.
Just like his grandpa.
Even better.
That's Ford, America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Now get a 2018 F-150 with up to $10,459 in total savings, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Hotel. Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back on Gold Mine Live, and the Niners this week going back on the road, going down to South Florida for a couple of games in conference play. Back with head coach Houston Fancher here from Norms this week on campus. Campus a little quiet today, being the Martin Luther King holiday. The basketball team already got their practice in, so they get the rest of the afternoon off, and we'll be traveling down to Florida on Wednesday and getting out of here as the snow comes in. Couple of games, Coach, against FAU and FIU, a couple of lower division teams, but you've mentioned this. It's very difficult, especially in league play, to win on the road. So it's an opportunity this week if you guys go down there and have some success, hopefully.
It is, and to be honest with you, what we've looked at is not necessarily who's in front of us, but how we're preparing. And that, for us, I think that's paramount. Once again, we're continuing to grow ourselves, and whoever happens to be next is next. And whether it's Florida Atlantic or Middle Tennessee or Western Kentucky, whoever it might be, I think we put the onus on ourselves to improve, and then we'll meet the challenge head on when we get there. But like you talked about, we haven't won there in the last couple of years, and haven't played especially well down there. Now we've won at Florida International, but we haven't won down there, so it'll be a challenge for us. They've got some talented people on their roster. They got some grown-ups on their roster too, that a couple of transfers in that are guys that are playing well for them, and they've got a kid named Troutman who really shoots it well off the bench. Peyton Hulsley is a guy who transferred in from college of Charleston, so starting point guard. He started quite a few point guard games for him, but plays a lot of minutes at the point. So he's a fifth-year senior down there for him as well. Ronald Delp is one of the bigger, better post players in the league. Inside, averages close to a double-double for him at 13 and 9, and he'll be somebody that Jalen will have to contend with down there. But they're not a great perimeter shooting team, but they've got a really athletic driving team. So we're going to do a great job containing the basketball and staying in front, and we'll have to do a good job keeping them off the offensive glass, because they do go to the offensive glass well, led by Delph, and we'll have to do a great job of contesting them there. And then we want to try to play up tempo if we can. We want to try to make sure we keep the ball game going at our pace and continue to grow our offensive system as we continue to mature. On the road is a good opportunity to do that as well. So we're looking forward to the trip, looking forward to seeing a little sunshine, but we've got some work to take care of on the road.
Ronald Delph, the 7-footer, we saw him down there a couple of years ago when he was a freshman, had a good game against us, and he leads them with 35 block shots. That just kind of makes us even more in awe of what Aydin Penova is doing at Marshall. We didn't see him the other night because of an ankle injury, but leading the nation with 76. Delph, a pretty good post player, defender, 35 blocks, and Penova has more than double that.
And one of the reasons, and it's overlooked a little bit because of the way Marshall defends, they sort of almost funnel you to him. FAU is a little bit better defensive team overall on the perimeter. I think Marshall plays defense just so they can get the ball back. That's the only reason they defend, just so they can get back and try to score. Florida Atlantic at least try to guard you a little bit more than Marshall will. So not as much as funneled to Delph as it's funneled to Penova, and he just sort of hangs around the rim and waits for you to put one up, and then he makes you swallow it when you put it up by the goal. But he's blocked shots against good teams. So Delph is, you look back at him and you look at a guy like Bryant Thomas, and Delph reminds me so much of what Bryant Thomas is now when Delph was a freshman. He's long and gangly, but he got a lot of time. He scored 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Then he'd have a good game where he scored 14 or 15. But now he's really developed to one of the better post players in the league.
Let's get that last break in, talk more about FAU and FIU when we come back in a moment in the Charlotte IMG Sports Network.
How do you become America's best-selling truck?
Come on, Briggs. Wait for your pitch, kiddo.
You give it best-in-class towing, payload, and with built-in Wi-Fi,
Yes!
the best seats in the house.
That's how it's done.
Just like his grandpa.
Even better.
That's Ford, America's best-selling truck 41 years straight. Now get a 2018 F-150 with up to $10,459 in total savings, only at your Carolina Ford dealer.
Sophie, his 13th birthday. Gift, we've got you. Guitar, coming tomorrow. Road game today, surprise party tomorrow. Change of plans. Game tomorrow.
No, birthday tomorrow.
Guitar, reroute.
Birthdays are on birthdays.
Party, relocate. UPS My Choice makes rerouting packages easy. How we're helping companies solve for the needs of customers like Sophie.
Welcome back to Gold Mine Live, final segment with head coach Houston Fancher, playing at FAU on Thursday, FIU on Friday. And unlike last week, we played a couple of teams that were at top of the league, not just in the standings, but in scoring the basketball, field goal percentage, three-point shooting percentage. Now, these two teams more kind of like in the middle of the pack, a little bit below, with FAU shooting 41%. What are these offenses like?
Well, they're not, like you say, it's not a potent offensive teams as far as shooting the ball from the perimeter, but really good attacking the rim. And that's they're aggressive explosive. They're athletic. They've got good depth. They play a lot of people. They'll play 10. Both those teams will play potentially 10 players, throughout the course of the game because they do try to keep it up tempo and they do play fast. We're going to have to do a good job of really containing the basketball and defending their drivers without fouling them because they go to the free throw line, at a pretty high clip too. Now they don't shoot it. Nobody shoots especially well from either team. But, for us, I think, once again, it's going to come back. We've been defending good enough to win ball games. We just haven't been offensively efficient enough, and that's an area we've got to get better on the offensive end. So regardless of how we guard and defend them, we've got to make sure that on the other end we're getting shots that we can make and finish in place.
We talked about Florida Atlantic some, but looking at Florida International, they're a balanced team offensively. You got 5 guys who score in double figures. So just talk about, is there one particular guy, that you kind of shoot to take away as you look at the scouting report, or because of that balance, is it more just a team effort?
It's a team effort. They've got a couple guys I think are key for them. Eric Lockett's a guy who drives the ball, who does a lot of things for them. He's really athletic. Plays 34 minutes a game for him and does a lot of stuff. Trajan Jacobs, a guy who, when he has big nights, they typically win. He's a sophomore. He's from North Carolina. We actually recruited Trajan for a little while, and he ended up going to FIU. But he's a left-handed wing that when he gets going, he can make a lot of things happen for him. He's an explosive scorer, really athletic. But when in their wins where they won big games, Brian Beard was a difference for them. When they went to Florida Gulf Coast and won, he was a difference in a basketball game. He's a guy that can go up and give you 18, 20, 24 on any given night. Really quick, smaller guard. He's a lead guard for him. But I think those 3 guys are the key guys as we go prepare for FIU.
Beard has 54 steals as well. You look at both these teams played middle really tough. And middle right now 5-0 atop the league with Western Kentucky. You look at FIU, though, they've hurt themselves with free throw shooting. As a team for the season, under 60%, around 57%. So in a close game, that may have come back a couple of times to hurt them.
It has, and in close losses. And like you said, during conference play, they're only shooting 53% from the free throw line. So, that's an Achilles heel for them there. So maybe we'll make sure we don't give up 3-point plays. We got to put people on the free throw line before we get an easy bucket down there. But they're 2 very similar teams. They're separated by 1 point when they played earlier in the season, 58-57, Florida Atlantic FIU. So they're very similar teams. They play similar styles, and it'll be grinded out games. I don't think they're looking to get up tempo and try to get the game up in the 80s. That's just not their style for either team. They want it to be a half-court oriented game. We need to try to turn the tempo a little bit and see if we can get some scores in transition, to give us some easy opportunities.
Coach, since you took over, you guys, played predominantly man-to-man, but you have mixed up the defenses some. Is this a game, or are these games where maybe not as good of outside shooting teams, you might explore some zone?
We will. We'll do a little bit of everything. I thought against Western Kentucky we threw a lot of zone at Western Kentucky. We felt like we opened the first tip-off. We opened the tip-off in 3-2 zone starting out. So we do feel like the key is we don't transition very well from missed baskets into zone. So we weren't making enough scores to change defenses the other night like we wanted to. So we got to put the ball in the basket so we can transition from makes instead of transition from misses. So we'll try to do that a little bit more here against Florida Atlantic and FIU coming up. But we will mix in. We mixed in our pressure the other night against Western Kentucky, which was good for us because it got to tempo. We went from scoring 20 points in the first half to 43 in the second half when the game became more up tempo for us. So that's an area we've got to continue to explore as well to speed the game up some.
Also notice that both these teams have done a pretty good job at protecting the ball, haven't turned it over at a big clip. Both are under 12 a game.
And a lot of that's because of the tempo they play. They play slower. They play more in the half court. And they're not out trying to make home run plays. And once again, they're both lower scoring teams. And in order to get assists, you got to make baskets. And that goes for us too. So they haven't turned the ball over as much. We've turned the ball over too much. We've got to be better at that. We've got to flip our assist-turnover ratio to where it's more productive, but that comes with offensive efficiency too. So we'll continue to work on that. I am once again, I can't iterate enough how proud I am of how hard they're working, and they're buying into what we're trying to do. And I truly think that they'll get this thing flipped. There's a lot of teams jumbled up with those 1, 2, and 3 wins right now, below the bottom 3. So we're still in the middle of a fight. We know that, and they're working towards getting better.
Really appreciate the time today, Coach. Good luck this week. It'll be nice to get down to the sunshine, get out of the snow on Wednesday, right?
Yeah, we are looking forward to the trip, but looking forward more to coming home with 2 wins for the Niners.
That's going to wrap it up for us this week. Thanks so much for watching and listening on ESPN 730. For Jobey Thomas, I want to thank also John Davis, Andre Gray, Coach Houston Fancher. I'm Matt Swarad. So long, everybody.